Hey folks, Helly Showstack here. Hope you are doing well. I want to talk about what it takes to be successful in a relationship. So, it's very important to look at other areas of life and see what successful people do in order to become good or great or the greatest of all time at their field. And then, if we can extrapolate from that and put it towards love relationships, I think you'll have a very clear idea of what it takes to be successful in a relationship. So if you look at people who are successful in their fields, athletes, business people, doctors, from all different fields, and you ask them what's the one ingredient that it takes to be successful, 9 out of 10 will tell you that they love what they do. So for them, it doesn't feel like work because they love it. They even asked Michael Jordan once, what does it take to be successful? And at his level. And he said, that's simple. What it takes to be successful is loving the game. So I tried to think, how can I explain to my clients and the people whom I work with, if it means that you need to love what you do, how can you take that and apply it to relationships? So very simply, well, if you want to be successful, then love the other person, right? Not so simple, because most people will tell you that I do love the other person, right? So one of the keys to the Find the Right One coaching program, and one of the things that I've been talking about for years with clients, is the idea of loving yourself first. And most people have a very tough time with this. Most people's minds are trained to focus on the negative and what's wrong with themselves. They think that if you focus in on what's wrong, then perhaps you can improve. But it's usually the opposite. And the idea is that the more that you focus in on what's right about you, and the more you love yourself, the happier you are. So if we can take a look at what it means to be successful in another area, which is love what you do, be obsessed with what you do, and we take it to relationships, and not loving another person and being obsessed with them, but loving yourself and being obsessed with loving of yourself, what are some of the key points that you can put into place about yourself so that you can be successful in life, and really in all areas, but specifically in your love relationships? So imagine you've done something that you regret. You made a mistake. You said something you shouldn't have said. So typically, your brain has been trained to make corrections and say, well, this causes you pain, so therefore you need to do something else. You need to do something different, right? Well, if that's the case, what you need to do is, excuse me, there I go, sneezing. If that's the case, you need to say, this way of thinking actually hasn't helped me. So if I really love myself and I make a mistake, I am going to look at the mistake very differently than if I hate myself or if I'm critical on myself. If I love myself, I'll tell myself, okay, I made a mistake. I'm not going to get emotional about the mistake. I'm going to get logical about the mistake and say, what can I do differently next time? and what can I do in order to make the situation better. Very different than, oh my God, it's terrible that you did that. You're such a bad person. I can't believe it. Because that way of thinking is just going to bring you down. And loving yourself would mean you're giving yourself that empathy and that ability to go through life as a human being who makes mistakes and then learns to improve it. Another example of loving yourself first and how that relates to being in a good relationship could be where a person is in an argument with the person whom they love. So you're in a relationship and you are in love with this person so much, right? And they say something or do something that you don't agree with. So right away your mind starts to say that's not right. And it starts to judge. And it starts to really make you unhappy with this other person, and your thoughts start to overplay. So loving yourself first means that when you are experiencing something like this in your mind, the anger that you feel towards the other person is all internal. It's all something that's going on inside your head. And it's all something that's going inside of your mind. So what you need to do is not be attached to all those thoughts about the other person. You need to attach yourself to what you love about yourself. There are about 60 to 80,000 thoughts that go through your mind a day, right? Most of them are negative and recycled. So when you're fighting with your loved one, that only is producing more and more negativity in your mind. It's contributing to those 60 to 80,000 negative thoughts. If you're able to take a step back and say, okay, I am not my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. And I let it go, that's loving yourself. You are obsessed with being kind and compassionate and loving to yourself. Now think if you do that, instead of living in your head, how great that relationship is going to be. Because you've already established that you love this other person and you're in a relationship with this other person. And we're assuming that it's not one of these situations where you're looking to get out, or it's bad, or you're on the verge of a divorce or a broken engagement or a broken relationship, whatever. We're assuming that you are in love, but you are a typical human being who gets into arguments with other people, especially someone whom you love or you disagree about things. By loving yourself first, it allows you to release the negativity in the mind and the judgments, and then you interact with that person from a place of love as opposed to a place of judgment. So to bring this full circle, the more that you go ahead and become obsessed with loving yourself first and putting yourself first, the more successful you're going to be in your love relationships, because you're going to see that you are the right one. You always have been, and you always will be. I was on the phone with a client the other night, and I said, ultimately, not to get morbid here, but you're not taking any of these relationships with you at the end of days. We all know that the body goes into a box or is cremated, right? You're not taking anybody else with you. It's just you. So the more comfortable you get with loving you for who you are, the more people around you are going to want to be with you, are going to feel that you respect them, are going to feel that you accept them for who they are with all their flaws and all their mistakes. And truthfully, you'll wind up being more successful in all areas of your life because you're loving yourself first and putting yourself first. Not from an egotistical perspective, like, oh, I'm here, so you got to do for me because I'm first. No, I'm not saying that at all. But again, I work with so many people, and they do not, at first, realize that loving themselves first is really the key to success in their love relationships. Once they get it, though, forget about it. The success is like that. So just wanted to put that out there and hope that you understand that loving something, loving someone makes you great and successful at all areas of life. Have a great day.